Hey, we're back with our 100th episode special. We're checking on. We're alternating between the Skype and the question and answer with the crew. But we have here right now with this segment Adam Scott Glancy of Pagan Publishing, a longtime contributor to RPPR. Scott, when I say RPPR, what do you think of?
What I think of, I think of the guys who first started to first put up my games at Gencon is what I think is. Without you guys putting up those World War I games, I would not have any momentum for the Horrors of War project that hopefully will be coming to fruition and getting kickstarted this summer. Certainly, you guys, if it hadn't been for you guys having me on the show and blathering on and filling your airtime, I would not have subsequently gotten invitations to go on other podcasts and essentially fill their airtime as well. I think you clearly demonstrated that all you have to do is ask me, two questions, and you can pretty much fill 2 hours of podcast time, with no need for a script or a show notes or anything else. Just wind up Glancy and let him go. So the guys at the Miskatonic University podcast and the Lovecraft E-Zine, magazine and a couple other places have come to me and said, so that thing you do on RPPR, can you do it on our show too? So yeah, that's kind of hilarious. So
I mean, I have long held the position that being the honor of being in one of your World War historical games should count for college credit.
Yes, if any of it was accurate. Sure, I talk a good game. I'm fairly certain that it's probably not quite as historically accurate.
Yeah, monsters aside, I mean, I know a lot more about World War I.
Powered armored trains aside, it's still quite accurate. And I certainly have a new one that I've run at the. I have a new one for this coming up Gen Con, if you guys are interested.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot smaller than the others. It's a nice, compact little one that was sort of designed for cons. So if you guys have any interest in being Italian Alpine troops.
Oh, you told me about this last year.
Yeah.
The one set in the mountains. What was that movie that was based on that?
Well, there's an Italian film called Many Wars Ago that I saw. That was made in the 70s, and it basically makes the Blackadder Goes Forth TV series, where Rowan Atkins and the crew from Blackadder go to World War I and experience all the irrationality and madness of World War. It basically makes that look like a Steven Seagal action thriller as far as the level of nonsense and madness and insanity that goes on at the front. It's everything you ever wanted from trench warfare in Flanders, only it's vertical, so you can fall out of your trench and fall 1,500 feet to a speedy yet Doppler effect death as you fall past other trenches on the way down.
Wow.
Yeah, plus frostbite, plus my other favorite stat is that more people die on the Alpine front in avalanches than die from chemical weapons attacks.
That's kind of impressive in its own way.
Yeah.
It's depressing, but
Yeah, and the Italian army is going to make the Italian army of World War I makes the British, the Germans, and the Russians look like Amish humanitarians by comparison, as far as the relationship between the work relationship between the officer class and the enlisted men. It's a lot of officers prodding men forward at the point of a revolver to get out there and get in there and attack the Austrians one more time. In Flanders, they renamed the second Battle of the Somme and the second and third battles of Ypres as different things. I think the second Battle of the Somme is called Passchendaele.
Yeah.
Because they renamed it because they didn't want people to know that they had fought over the same piece of ground twice to no effect.
Yeah.
The Italians have something like the 12 battles of the Inzonzo River. Okay, so just to let you know how much progress they made over 3 years of combat. Yeah, they have 12 battles over the same, 20 stretch of turf. It's not pretty. So I have this. I finally found something to do with the Italians, a mythos problem to stick in there, and to get you into the environment where it's all hanging off of glaciers and mountain climbing and frostbite and whiteout conditions and the mythos. Just in case.
Hooray!
Yeah. Gotta add in that Archer. Yay! Put in every episode.
You could say that that's a zone filled with danger. What would you call that?
I don't know, Lana. What would you call that? Yeah, I finally got something for you guys on that.
So, do you think running these games for RPPR and or just recording for actual plays has that affected when you've run games at conventions or affected how you've written games?
Oh yeah, you guys have being on RPPR raised my profile.
Yeah.
People, the game. A lot more people heard of Pagan Publishing. People come up to me at Gencon and they're like, "Oh, we know you from the RPPR. We don't know you from Delta Green. What's that? You've never run any Delta Green on RPPR. We thought Ross invented Delta Green. No, but you guys have clearly raised my profile in the gaming world because people have listened to these things, and it's made sales. What can I tell you? People have.
Well, I mean, in terms of actually writing the scenarios, I mean, has feedback from people who have listened to the game affected how you've revised scenarios or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. And that particularly con games, where it's as much fun as U-Boat Harass was to run over 2 nights, we had 11 hours of gaming there.
Yes.
That's kind of obscene. At least for a con setting. How about that?
Yeah, that's true.
Running that over 3 nights, over 3 weeks or something,
that could work, yeah.
Back in the real world is fine. But certainly I have pushed some scenarios to become more con-worthy because of the experience of playing these things. And to make them, not just con-worthy, but, things you can crack open, you can crack open and dispose of in one night. And certainly the Italian front game, that's sort of so I think it's one of the perfect distillation of this, and that it's about a 4-hour game. 3 to 4 hours is what I've played it in, depending on how fast the players want to move the situation along, or the night mission, which is also sort of marvelous.
That was pretty compact.
But all we have to do, of course, is trim out all of my segueing bullshit into historical anecdote, and these things will rocket along in about 3 hours. Certainly, plenty of people have commented, "No, don't leave out all the Glancy hogwash. We like the Glancy hogwash," but. Even so, that's a mixed bag. Not everybody likes the Glancy hog.
Well, definitely one thing I've realized is that there is a difference between playing the game and listening to the game, and I think a lot of the times, certainly there's been some times when as a player, like the briefings, I mean, all right, it's interesting, but it's not as engaging as actually, blowing up monsters with dynamite.
The big fail on that was the very first one I did that you didn't record. I absolutely front-loaded way too much information.
The Zeppelin game.
Zeppelin game. And I never made that mistake again. I hope. For anyone who
But
was bored in the other games, let me assure you that it was much worse the first time out. Where I'm like,
he had diagrams. He had like of the Zeppelin. I mean, there were books. It was a lecture.
yeah,
I
it's like
mean,
you got. And again, it would, I've just learned that okay, it does not matter if I give you the Zeppelin lecture on how it works.
yeah,
You will forget in the heat of the combat, and when I have to say, you know what, this machine won't do that.
yeah.
It doesn't have the capacity, or you're running out of ballast, or whatever the problem you've created through the operation of the machine. I just have to inflict that on you as the game goes, rather than try and warn you. You might not want to do that. I'm just gonna at the beginning.
Yeah.
You just got to thread that through, and that's half of some of these World War One games has been
Right.
you confronting the technology of the era.
Yeah.
Like the submarine, like the armored train, like the bombers, the tunneling. It's all about you. One of the big things is you encountering the technology and sort of getting one bit of bad news after another.
That does seem to be a very reoccurring theme in the World War One tech. Yeah, the Night Mission. One of the things that really stuck out to me was the fact that the scars actually that I've always the pilots had a very practical purpose, namely the getting the oil out of the goggles, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Wow, I never thought about that, and that was a really great detail. But I think these just because the briefing isn't necessarily as engaging as like the actual scenes in the game, but the listeners, I think it doesn't matter to them. They're not playing the game anyway; they're just listening. So I think there is sort of a difference between what is a good game to be, what is best for players and what is best for listeners. So. I mean, it's not always the same. Sometimes it can be both equally entertaining for player and listener, but sometimes there is that.
Well, everybody.
It can be one or the other.
Everybody loves listening to you machine gun things to death. I mean,
Yeah.
That's one thing we've learned from these games is that anytime Ross is near a belt-fed machine gun, that's a big audience. Thumbs up clicks for the rest of the comment section is
Yeah, and it's only in your games that I've had that kind of luck with belt-fed machine guns.
Well, they're all over the damn World War One, so you keep running into them.
Yeah. But in other games, like games that I've played here, I haven't been quite as lucky with that.
Well, it is Call of Cthulhu. It's always going to turn out poorly in some respect.
Yeah, true enough. But I think there are times that I know that in some of our actual plays that they've been entertaining as players, but they haven't been as much for the listeners, especially like combat that involves miniatures, like not Call of Cthulhu per se, but a lot of our D&D type games we use minis, and that listeners are like, what's going on? I don't understand what's going on, and so it's kind of interesting to think about what makes a good AP versus a good game, or what.
Well, I'll tell you what it does definitely makes a good AP is having Greg Stolze in players, because that guy is goddamn hilarious. And anytime he's on,
and he rolls with everything. I mean, he really embraces it and really is there just to have fun.
The story about the well of sacrifice.
Yes,
is sort of the classic, and I tell that story to people as the example of a player embracing his fail. During a game, which again, one of the things I sort of loathe about certain game concepts where they want to eliminate the dice, or they want to eliminate roll failures or something like that and move the story along, is you can make a whole lot of interesting stuff happen with a failure. And and Stolze demonstrates that beautifully in Well of Sacrifice.
So, I mean, my only fear in some of these mystery games is that if I fail skill rolls, skill checks, is that I will not be able to see all the story. I don't mind if my character meets a grisly fate, but I want to at least know why the monster's eating all of our, eyeballs or whatever.
Or at least find the monster. I've had playtests where games happen where we're trying to find the scenario and we can't even find the scenario. We know something terrible is happening, and we can't even have it happen to us because we're so lost. That's a sign that you've written a bad scenario and we have to rewrite it. John Crow wrote a great Wild West scenario which involved Chinese hopping vampires, the
Oh, wow.
Shanxi.
Yeah,
And we play tested it twice. The first time, we never found the problem.
yeah.
It was supposed to be a Shanxi who was preying on Chinese railroad workers on the Transcontinental Railway in the mountains of California.
Right.
And he made some assumptions about what we were going to do as investigators that honestly didn't make any sense to me. It was railway workers are being killed on the line up by where they're digging this tunnel through a mountain. I'm like, okay, we should go there and check it out. And John was like, why would you do that? Don't you realize you're supposed to go to San Francisco first? Why the fuck would we do that?
What's in San Francisco?
Exactly.
Like,
What's in San Francisco? Exactly. And apparently, and so he's like, oh dear, I've blown it. So he rewrote it and
yeah.
Accounted for this, to drive us towards a clue vector, or at least allow for the ability to backtrack to San Francisco, where all the workers had come from.
Right.
And it worked out, much better the second time around. It's actually a great scenario.
Has it been published yet?
No. We're hoping we're going to try and do the World War I book first, and then try and do the Wild West book next year.
Oh, I gotcha.
But it's a great, very fun scenario and very entertaining. And I just have to throw this out. One of those horrible moments where the vampires start thinking. We figure out that that the Chinese have a mixture of junk that they put together that includes like some spices, some peppers, some iron filings, some rice mixed together. It's the stuff you put down, and it has that kind of holy wafer effect where the vampires can't cross that line if you draw a line with this stuff. Yeah. And so we figure out that we need to get the entire camp of workers into the dead-end railway tunnel and then put down the line of this stuff to keep the vampires out, right?
Right.
And so we figure that part out. The vampires start by trying to push a rail car down the rail line on top of everybody who's in the tunnel. Because there's 200 guys crammed into a tunnel.
Right.
And, that problem was solved with dynamite. But the concussion blows all the stuff into the air. We took to calling the stuff the hoo-ha because even the Chinese didn't have a name for it. We said, what's the stuff called? And they're like, well, it's the stuff. You just put it down and it keeps going. So we're calling it the hoo-ha. So we put the hoo-ha down. The dynamite concussion blows all the hoo-ha into the air. We have to put some more down quickly. And then the vampires realize that they can sweep the hoo-ha out of the way with brooms. So we're sitting there trying to make fallback lines of this stuff and throwing, Molotov cocktails full of lamp oil at them to keep them away from the stuff. But it turned into this horrible siege of the railway tunnel. We're all trapped in there where there's like 20 some odd vampires trying to get in and kill everybody. The vampires just don't sit there and go, oh, we can't cross the line. I guess we're done for the day. No, they just start trying to improvise stuff. They just go to our tool shed, break it open, and start using tools against us, which is the worst. Nothing worse than the undead armed with tools. Zombies with ladders. That's something you don't want to see either. Just saying. That turns up in The Vengeful Dead, where you're besieged in what's it called? Suddenly forgotten the name of our last book. Bumps in the Night, where the scenario Vengeful Dead, the zombies go, when you've locked all the doors and windows, zombies go and get axes and tools out of the tool shed on the hotel grounds, and then they go get ladders so they can get through the windows upstairs. Yeah, that sucked. But anyways, I'm way off course. Quick, circle this back around to how cool RPPR is, because I got to tell you, I listen to every show. I go back and listen to every show, mostly because out of just pure unadulterated ego, because I'm hoping you'll mention me again,
Well,
at some point. So I just listen carefully, hoping that you or Tom will name drop me during the show.
we'll have to keep doing that.
Well, it'll keep me listening. Don't you don't have to do it. You can drop my name once, and I'll listen to 5 shows.
Oh, okay.
I'm,
I'm glad we have the ratio down.
yeah.
So, well, this episode will clearly count. And
Oh yeah, I'll tune in to listen to myself. No problem there. You can count on that.
Yeah, no, I mean it's RPPR has been a very educational experience for me in terms of aside from learning podcasting and learning more about game design, just learning what entertain. I mean, one thing I've learned is I think you can't have you have your own preferences for say podcast listening or game design or whatever, but when you share it with the world, you realize hey, your audience has different tastes than you, and so you it's best to focus on what the audience wants and what you think the audience wants, if that makes sense. Like I don't have a long commute or I don't have a long time, so I don't listen to many actual plays, but hey, there's obviously an audience that does love the actual plays, and for example, so I mean it sort of made me think more about focus more on what they want, not what, my preconceptions about what they want. And the only way to really test that is to just throw it out there and see how they react to it. And then if they like it, do more of that. It's kind of a weird process, but I
find that absolutely hilarious that because to get that feedback from people saying, I have a long commute. This is what I got. Rather than listening to whatever the jocks have on the radio today or whatever pundit is pontificating. They'd rather listen to us. Just be awful on what was it on Dig to Victory, where everyone immediately became snobby British officers.
Yeah.
I think it was I think it was Stolte who threw out, anyone from south of Dover is a wog.
Yeah. I think that was it. And I mean, it's not just commuting either. Like there are people who I listen to it when I go out hiking or when I work out or when I have a boring job and I can listen to,
a stationary workout is so mind-numbingly boring. And you know what, sir, we're not making old time radio anymore. We're not making episodes of Adventure or Escape, or Quiet Please or any of these. Adventure is just one I made up, but Escape and Quiet Please are two great, radio series. Suspense, that was the other one. Those kind of things where you can just plug in and sort of passively listen to it while doing another activity, hiking, driving, exercising, doing, if you've got some mindless work to do, pop those into your incredibly small iPod that can store all the songs that ever were and all the music and all the, that's incredibly convenient now here in the fabulous information age.
Well, yeah, and it's been there's one we had a whole discussion of this on the RPPR forums, and there's one guy's I sail, and when I'm on Anchor Watch, I listen to the horror games, late at night, and it's just drifting between the Catalina Islands, and I'm like, wow, and it's interesting, I've been looking through referral links to RPPR actual play, and there's Reddit discussion about what are the best videos of game masters running, and so apparently the newest trend now is not even audio actual plays, but video actual plays with web cameras and Google Hangouts. You also have not just people who are using webcams to do a long distance game, but people who just set up a camera, pointed at the table, and then recording a 3-hour thing and then throwing it on YouTube. And it's interesting to see how changes are. I'm not saying that RPPR is going to be going that route, but
unlike I hit it with my axe. You guys do not have a face for. You guys have a faces for radio, so it's probably best if you're heard and not seen. You're familiar with I hit it with my axe, right?
Yes, that's the Zach Smith, a porn star / artist. Because he actually is a fine artist, in the high art world. He's done that as well. But the D&D group, he does sort of an old school Renaissance type game, I think. second edition. Or
That's what I've tuned in and watched one episode, and I was mostly struck by what unrepentant hooligans the female gamers were.
Yeah.
I do not get to game with enough female gamers. I grew up on female gamers. My original gaming group in high school was half women, and do not get to play with enough women gamers these days. But they were absolute. They were absolute soccer hooligans when they, when their D&D characters came into a town, they were going to leave it a smoking crater. When they were done, there was just no respect for other people's rights, or it was just like, wow, that's what chaotic evil looks like. All right, holy shit! I'm not evil. I'm neutral. Of course you are. Whatever you say.
Caleb ran a campaign to playtest his Better Angels campaign, which is set in a high school, and Sarah, his girlfriend, joined us for that. And she was very quiet, but she played, when she wanted to, she could play a very ruthless character. And she was the only one out of our entire group who could actually execute a mission like stealthfully and skillfully and actually get it done. The rest of us would just cause like mayhem wherever we went. And while she's like, I'm going to turn into a bird, I'll fly up there, I'll set it on fire, I'll leave, and no one will know it's me. And I'm like, wow. And she just blithely indifferent to her character's husband's like, I'm not going to help you cheat, honey, but on your law school exam, but I'm going to help all these kids cheat by using demonic superpowers because I want to get a better test score to help my school out. And like that, it's a very she adapted very quickly to my character's irradiating things by turning someone's hand into radio.
Oh yes, I remember that. I remember the plutonium story or whatever.
I think I can't remember if it was plutonium or uranium, but I turned someone's hand into that. I think uranium.
Because nothing says ninja like a guy turning.
I wanted to scare them, and I was like, I thought something glowy would scare them and make them surrender, and that there were consequences to that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's okay. It's no Chaplin store incident, but it's close. I'm just saying.
Yep. Well, we look forward to gaming with you again at Gencon, and next time, and your Kickstarter for the Horrors of War and Delta Green. Any updates on that? That's still in the works.
I'm still writing that. Like I said, I am simultaneously blowing about 4 deadlines as I'm talking to you right now. So I am unloved. I'm blowing a deadline for Patrick Harrigan, who's got me writing something for a collection of essays on wargaming, but he's wanted me to write something about how role-playing games handled combat over the years. I have found some truly broken combat systems. I'm sure that if I mention them online, that you will get somebody who will write into RPPR and go, Glancy doesn't know what he's talking about. Phoenix Command was the greatest role-playing game.
Oh, no. I actually eBayed a copy of Phoenix Command. I had to see it for myself. And wow, I cannot believe that that's not performance art, that's not like just something to like troll people. Like people actually played that.
Yeah. I mean, it's no Fatal, but because that was just a game made by broken people. But a game where your combat rounds are in tenths of a second.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys realize you built a combat system based on a machine gun's action. You didn't build a combat system on what a human being can do. You built a combat system based on what the machine can do. So I think we know what's important in this game system. It's not the characters, it's the toys. That one really blew me. The D1000 hit location table.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jesus. Yeah. No, I've skimmed it, and that's enough.
Yeah.
But I look forward to reading that essay.
So yes, I've got that. I'm doing. I've got about 4 things that to do with Shane, and Henry Lopez has hired me to write something for a Gen Con scenario that I'll be running for them for a sort of a Cthulhu, in the future scenario where it's all sort of, I don't know, I guess the best technology equivalent for what they're looking for is something very Traveler 2300, somewhere around Outland, Aliens, Blade Runner, and that, sort of milieu of alleged future tech,
Right.
So they're looking for something like that, and yes, they've got me writing something for them, and I've got a sort of a rough draft to turn in by the end of the month. So yes, I am unloved at the moment amongst the people who have brought me these jobs, and most of which I would not be getting if I had not. Well, the Delta Green ones, I guess I'd get regardless, but certainly RPPR has raised my profile and my status, so now people are coming to me with work, which is nice.
Well, we're glad we could help out, and we're glad for the scenarios. They are certainly part of our legacy. They're going to be, people are going to be talking about them for years to come, for better or worse.
Well, well, hopefully I'll be able to get some more to you. I did record the game that I ran at the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival, so maybe I'll be able to upload that to you in the future. And we did record a video game via Google Hangouts for the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival a couple of years back that they chose not to use. But if I can ever convince Gwen Callahan at the festival to release the video to me, maybe I can get. Maybe would there be a place on the RPPR website for video?
We have a YouTube channel.
Okay,
so
there you go.
We can do that. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Scott. And when we come back, we'll have more from question and answers.
With more Tom.
And we're back. Yes, and Tom has joined us again.
Hi!
So Tom, Jason, and I already answered the desert island question, but David and Bill and Caleb and Aaron haven't. So why don't you, David, or do you want
What's the desert island question?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's read the question first.
If the cast of RPPR, this is from Thomas Smalley, by the way. If the cast of RPPR were trapped on a desert island, who would last the longest? Who would be eaten first? And who would be the one to actually make it off the island?
Is there caffeine on the island?
It's a deserted island.
And is J.J. Abrams
Dead already.
And is J.J. Abrams writing our episode?
After 2 days, I got the shakes and the DTs, and I'm just down.
All right, that's Caleb's answer.
I'm figuring we would probably all in that circumstance figure it was somehow Ross's fault for jamming us into that situation and rise up en masse and finally rid ourselves of the horrible monster. One to actually survive, I know not part of the regular cast, but if she happened to be there, probably Sarah. Sneaky enough to pull it off.
Sarah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. If Sarah's there, she outlives all of us.
Yeah,
She's a hard woman.
We're all dead.
I've seen her break her finger and go, hey, I broke my finger. And that was the extent of her reaction. She
Also so quiet.
Oh, yeah.
The stealth.
Yeah. That was her equivalent of a shout.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's sneaky and hard.
So her Fusroda is rather subdued.
Yeah.
No less effective, though.
No, it's not
Yeah, it still blows somebody in
all right.
across the room.
We all remember Frank Cooper from accounting.
Exactly. David, your thoughts?
As far as who would last, who would be eaten, and who would live. Sorry, Aaron, you're going to be the first one to be eaten because the assorted run off into whatever. After Aaron dies, we're eventually going to have.
That's assuming you find him.
Assuming, yes. As far as
There could be a computer in that swamp.
I can hack it. There could be a computer in that cave.
You know what? An abacus is technically a computer. All right.
Can you hack with it?
See those yellow
You'd
glowing
be
lights
surprised.
that look like the eyes of some predatory creature? They're the power buttons of a computer.
And not necessarily eaten by us, but eaten.
All right.
They're all.
Yeah, but he would find the Godzilla for us, which would be
All right.
wonderful.
As far as who would last the longest, I would probably be the second or third to die, so I don't know which one of you guys would be the last one standing, just because of that. I know my own health concerns would catch up right about the time that I stopped being resourceful. Okay, so if we take these leaves and twist them like this, we can make a lean-to and, oh, sugar, thud.
Yeah. Origami has some practicality, but not that much.
I will have you know, I can find a tactical use for origami practically anywhere.
I know, but until the sugar,
Until the sugar.
You can't origami.
You can't fold insulin, yeah.
Can't fold insulin.
So it would be the one to make it off the island.
That depends. If Caleb wakes up enough after he runs out of caffeine, he will death trap his way to the helicopter. Everybody else will somehow end up skewered by something or other.
Yeah.
Or Ross will somehow manage to manipulate his way out.
No, seriously, I got like 12 hours without an energy drink, and then I'm down.
I didn't
Unless
give
there
us
happen to be
very
cocoa
lots
leaves,
either.
in which case.
So, Aaron, your thoughts?
Well, starting off, I am going to disappear into the woods because I'm going to find plot on my own.
It's either you or all of us.
So I'm going to find plot on my own, but I will be returning at least about 2 days later with some other device that is powered solely by coconuts and bamboo.
All right.
So you're going to be the professor from...
But see, no, the point right now is that, or this is the other thing that's going to happen. I'm going to get frustrated, set it fire, which sets the entire small ecosystem on fire around
You
me.
like to start fires.
He does. He really is a pirate.
And then we all starve to death if we don't burn into the fire. Or it does awaken, it does piss off the two small women that control Mothra, and we all die from that. So
Yeah, no, our odds are not good.
yeah.
There is the
Outside of
bright
Sarah,
side
we're
about
all-
the blaze.
we're all-
In any way, I
If he does set
initiate
the
the end
island on
game.
fire,
That's
we
all.
get to see-
That's what I'm here
That's
for.
the
All
signal
right,
that lets
fair enough.
everybody know where we are. And
If
then also
somebody has
means
to
we got
survive, it's Caleb by piling our corpses on top of him and hoping that Mothra doesn't notice him.
Yes, hide under the bodies. When in doubt.
And speaking of that, Clancy Cunningham asked, why does Aaron wander off alone? Now, Tom and Jason...
Once again, we have delivered on...
We've expounded on our theories about this, but why don't we all go around, then we can end with
Yeah,
Aaron's
that's-
explanation, as it were. So, Caleb...
I can't even.
you
mean,
literally can't even.
I know somebody wants to hear it, but I got nothing.
It's as baffling to you as the rules for climbing in rifts.
More so. It's not something I haven't thought about. Because I have. I've thought about it. I've planned for it in multiple games I've run. I'm like, all right, he's going to run off by himself. So what can I do to make the story interesting but not just kill him instantly? But I got nothing.
All right. That's an honest answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Bill?
Aaron is on an eternal multi-game, multi-genre quest to be the guy.
I want to be that guy. So, all right. David?
perpetually trying for the Jenkins achievement. Leroying his way into
Leroy Jenkins. He's going for, if this was Unknown Armies, he would be going for the avatar of Leroy Jenkins.
The avatar.
Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins.
There can be only one.
I
Yeah.
would like to change my answer.
Yeah.
He is unsuccessfully channeling Shinji Ikari and actually does run away.
Oh.
That's a low. That,
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Jeez.
It's gonna be a
Bill.
So,
fight.
Aaron, what is your answer?
It seems interesting.
seemed like a good idea at the time.
But that is
That's like
my
some Japanese Zen shit right there. That's like, it seems interesting.
Maybe it's performance art?
no. It's like, that was my
A
comedy.
life lived
Well,
running away.
Yeah, this is my comedy. Well,
Or torch.
I will say that was obviously the comedy
But
option.
always alone.
To be completely honest, about this, I will look for a hook. Like, I'll bring the example of Hex Hollow, which we just did. Spoiler alert for anybody who has not read this beforehand.
Listen to it.
I do think about what that character will do in the meantime, and kind of the hooks that are given. Like I think, all right, I'm gonna run after this guy. Hopefully, my roles will not be as crappy as they normally have been. Which,
They will be as
well,
crappy
but
as
it
they
would
normally
prove.
have.
Unfortunately, I proved myself more wrong about that than on most times than others. But I will follow a tangent, and if it's good, I will try to go for it till the very bitter end, which it sometimes ends up like that.
Oh, well,
so.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's your answer. I'm just role playing in the manner that I see fit.
I'm going to blame Hex Hollow on Ross because he's encouraged that behavior in the past.
So he's an enabler.
First episode of Tribes of Tokyo, the vampire, the literal, honest to God, saw him rip a man in half, vampire, armed with guns, and who super climbs up a wall. We're all like, yeah, fuck that. Aaron's like, barreling towards it, completely unarmed.
No, he had a stun gun.
I had a stun gun.
Not that first time.
To the
Go
point,
for that.
to the point where Ross had to have the character just shoot him in the leg and be like, dude, seriously. Just, you really don't want to chase me. Like, just full-blown GM puppetry. Just like, seriously, stop.
I like the vampire to understand.
This is just sad. And even I'm not this cruel. And then he vampires away. I think you encouraged that behavior. I think he expected that to happen.
I literally, it was for X Hollow. I was like, I don't care because there's 6 players. You know,
Yeah, the numbers weren't on your side.
Yeah,
No, that's just interesting.
But you encouraged a bad
So
behavior?
short end.
I didn't encourage it. How can I?
You get a nice, quiet human moment with the villain scene if you chase after them completely unarmed after they've been firing guns.
Well, yeah.
So note to self: if I ever get the chance to run a game, if you start to run off, bear trap
Yeah.
Well,
or fox trap.
but going into it, internet, if you want to go long answer, I'm trying to role play in the most interesting way I can see how. Short answer, that looks shiny. I'm going to walk towards it. So
There's the truth.
there you go. My short attention span gives you results, apparently.
Another question that Ethan Cordray asks is, when you're GMing a game, how do you think the knowledge that you're recording affects the decision you make, both in scenario design and at the table, for example, avoiding written handouts, running combat cinematically rather than tactically, doing character creation away from the table? I mean, I always do. I don't really record character creation. I will describe
Except when
handouts.
it's funny.
Yeah, very rarely.
I think we did the Palladium.
Yeah, that's
Character
not a bad example. Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Well, it was worth it just to hear the sound of the Caleb hair pulling.
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
did have a very distinctive sound. Just FYI.
But other than that, I mean, I've literally been running recorded games so long, I don't know how. I can't distinguish. Like, it's all the same to me at this point. I'm jaded. But Tom or Caleb, Bill, any thoughts? Because you guys have run games. Or Tom, yeah.
I don't know. The Lover in the Ice, I guess it wasn't really controversy, but the discussion over it, like, you know,
The mature.
there are some sexual themes in it, and while I don't feel like I did anything wrong by any means, because I don't feel like anything in there was like positive for those topics. Like, they were horrific because they are horrific.
Yeah.
But I should have trigger warning that, and so I think I have. And I completely understand that now. So I think that's maybe something I've learned about running a recorded game. That,
You have to keep your audience on.
yeah, your audience isn't your audience at the table.
Yeah.
It's
That's
going to be
good point.
wider than that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's...
Yeah.
I haven't found it to really add meaningfully to the hopeless pile of anxiety I experience when preparing to run a game anyway. So that's not exactly a helpful answer, but yeah, I don't worry anymore because I don't think that would be possible.
All right.
Yeah. Honestly, I had the assumption that if I knew I was running a game that's being recorded when we first started doing it, that I would okay, I can't run a really raw thing. I got to have a lot of polish on it before I'm comfortable letting other people hear it.
Yeah.
And afterwards, actually, I don't give a fuck.
I have no idea how you got that impression.
Well, it's at first. I didn't know. I never recorded a game that I ran.
I'm a million times less now. I guess that's one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because it's recorded or I've just run more, but from the days of Andrew's Fortune, which is
10 pages.
a scenario longer than the book for the system it is run in, with my 2 Dungeon World, which is I got a 6-pack, let's go. I have, a lot less anxiety.
Well, the worry I had at first basically was sound and thunder signifying nothing.
Yeah.
Everyone, nope, nothing's changed, not a thing. So.
Yeah. And Aaron, you run games.
Well, I would say that haunting definitely changed things. So, since that was
the day the music died,
well,
The day the Fire Nation attacked.
yeah, the day. Actually, that's a good example of that. But to bring up that example of, we'll say recorded versus in person or just for a group, because I would say, running for you guys was stress inducing enough. Outside of that, because you guys, I know you, we know each other's mannerisms, what we're going to play in there, and then having to transfer that to the first play of Divine Fire, which you guys kickstarted through because of that whole haunting scenario, and then seeing, and then going up in front of people and like, oh God, these are the random strangers who I'm going to try to entertain. This is going to be a little bit even more strainful, and then taking that into the recorded area where again you have the invisible audience who you're hoping you're making happy by this. So I would say it's reduced my strain. The stress of that has gone less and less with each game that I've done. And then realizing that the materials that I do, I'm kind of like Caleb, that anything I prepare, I'm just like writing down constant notes of things I want to do or not want to do into it and polishing it as much as possible. But other than that, no, it's kind of gone down.
Well, that's one thing about Invisible Audience is like you can run the haunting, and you could think, man, I'm the worst GM ever, and then you can listen, have everybody on the internet listen, and be like, no, your players are just assholes. Stop playing with them; they're assholes, and that's closer to the truth of that scenario.
That is truth, but
we were the real monster.
That is the truth, but you guys have all been in the situation where you're facing screen forward on the mic, and you realize, oh God, I'm in charge of everything here, and trying to make that up.
It's an illusion.
The illusion of control. But you're at least providing the baseline for everybody to play in the sandbox and
just get ready to tap dance on that landslide.
Yeah. Kind of a follow-up question, but for David, we'll have David answer first. At what moment, let's see, actually, sorry, does role-playing does being recorded for APs affect how you role-play your character? So David, I mean, certainly, for Bryson Springs and certainly for No Evil, assuming you quoth entered in late into the campaign, did being recorded affect how you played your character? Like, once you saw that microphone on there, I mean, Caleb talked a little bit about that, but...
more than a little. A lot of it, actually.
Yeah.
Anytime that I'm going to be recorded, I'm acutely aware of all of my own verbal tics. My ums, my ahs, my ohs. And then on top of that, I also know that if I'm going to be recorded, I can't exactly do anything little. I have to play it to the hilt. Every single bit of the character, I have to just put into every little thing. Which is why I've got that tendency to go for the large ham and chew as much of the scenery as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I also know that if I'm going to be playing with certain people, that I'm going to have to get as big of a bite of that scenery early on, because if I don't, there won't be any scenery left.
Yeah, I can.
So there's a reason I rarely ever get to roleplay the quiet ones, because there's a microphone. We can't be quiet on the mic.
That's an interesting perspective, isn't it? All right. Anyone want to answer that next? Role-playing, how recording affects you role-playing?
I honestly don't think it really affected the way I role-played much, because once coming into the group, I saw where I was integrated into best and kind of ran with those characters as much as possible.
Let's be honest, Aaron. Every game has things to run off after where nobody else is going to be, whether or not it's being recorded.
It's the dark side of the scenario that nobody dares to see. So, but yeah, I just kind of look. I don't think it's really changed much of my perspective of how I play with everybody else.
All right.
So,
Tom, any thoughts on recording?
I already answered.
For recording, how role playing affects your recording, or like how recording affects your role playing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, nothing's really changed with playing.
Okay.
Since recording or not, I don't think my play style changes at all when I'm being recorded.
All right, fair enough. Bill, Caleb, any thoughts?
I don't know. I guess there's no control for me, so
yeah.
I've always been recorded when playing, but
that's kind of for me too. Like,
but I mean, I used to talk like every single day, all day, as a part of my job. And so I got like a Facebook message one time from a fan who was critiquing my public speaking during like the Game Designers Workshop podcast, like when I say and things like that. And like while I speak publicly all the time, teaching high school, it is a quantity over quality scenario. Like you want to be good enough, but then you have to be good enough for 7 hours for 5 days with an actively hostile audience. So
it's a little like Gencon.
Yeah, so I just never even.
Gencon's a lot nice,
much nicer. So yeah, I just never even really considered it. I'm just like, yeah.
I know there have been reviews that I've seen on iTunes that have been critical of our my speech ticks, the uhs and the ums, and that kind of
It's
thing.
it's like,
and I know one of my professors actually mentioned things like that as being a phrase, sort of one of those carryover phrases, or one of those filler phrases, and so I am aware of those, and I try to work on that. But it's hard to, it's work in progress. I don't have polished scripts for this stuff, and I don't rehearse it like a voiceover actor.
It's not a radio play?
I know.
You haven't been doing radio plays all this time?
Radio plays are work.
Our Foley artist is.
I'm sure I could get better at that stuff if I tried, but from my background, like having the worst speech impediment you could possibly have for the majority of my life, and like years of speech therapy, and I'm just done considering how I talk. Like, I don't talk like this all the time, so. Past that, I'm good. Like,
Can I say at this point, if you're listening to RPPR, you're used to that.
Yeah,
you've integrated, you're done.
We're always getting new listeners.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
We're gonna need to replace.
But yeah,
some
come
of
on.
them
If we didn't
for
do
the
that, it
Sandusky,
wouldn't be
Ohio.
real.
One thing I would like to, I can't find the exact question, but there is one where, what are 3 games you would like to play that we haven't had a chance to try out? Or are there any games that you would like to try out that we have not had a chance to run on the podcast? I know I have 3 just to start off. One would be Kuro, which is this Japanese cyberpunk horror game that I got last year. And
game's crazy.
Yeah.
But I really want to play it.
Yeah, I really want to try it out too. Next is Hackmaster, the new edition, because it's a beautiful looking book, and apparently they take the old school stuff, but they have simplified game mechanics despite the density of the books.
Yeah, that doesn't look simplified.
Yeah, no. But a lot of that's setting material, and a lot of that's like spell lists and stuff like that. But the combat's supposed to be pretty good, and I really want to try at least 1 or 2 scenarios. And what's another one? There are a couple. I know there's a couple of indie games, Hollow Point and Durance, and I'm sure I'm forgetting others. But those the Laundry. Because now at this point, enough of us have read the novels that I think I could run a good Laundry, and there's some good scenarios that are out for it. So those are 3 off the top of my head that I would like to try. I'm sure there's like World of Darkness games. So any other games that you guys would like to see? Tom, I know you've mentioned Werewolf the Forsaken.
Yeah, I'd like to do that one. Accursed, I'm going to do that one.
You need to get more familiar. Well, I mean, it's Savage World, so you could, run that any time.
No, it's more not getting. It's getting used to the world setting of Accursed.
Oh, not even the game mechanics.
No, the game mechanics I got down pretty well.
Okay.
But if I'm gonna run Accursed, I want to run Accursed in that world.
Yeah. No, clearly, I'm interested in it too. The whole Victorian monster anti-hero thing is pretty interesting. Just
and
the little bits I read from it, like the mummies use their tombs as armor,
And I'm sure Ross, because one of them is an actual sentient zombie.
Yeah, no, well.
And they have to eat human flesh.
I don't know why you're such a zombie.
Yeah, I don't. It's cray, Ross. It's totally cray.
So anybody else? Any other games you'd like to try out?
Dresden Files.
Dresden Files.
Now the thing. All right, so the listeners, if you haven't checked our forums, a while ago, one of our off and on players, Dan, Fuzzy Dan on the forums.
Blurb to the rest of you.
Yeah, he was in the New World campaign as the Warlock and has been in some on and off games. He ran the Star Wars One Roll Engine games that were posted last year. He posted a pitch for a Dresden Files campaign that would make me want to play, even though I haven't read the novels yet. I'm broadly familiar with the concept.
Horrible monster.
Yeah, I am.
I haven't read
but it's
either,
it's set in Springfield, and it's like Dresden Files with an archer style theme to it, and it's like his write up was amazing. I'd love to play that Operation Obelisk.
Yeah, I don't want to run Dresden Files. I want to play that campaign. Like
Yeah.
if I ran Dresden Files, I would just plagiarize and run Dan's campaign.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you should
because
do
it's
that
just such a good
because
idea.
5 years from now, when he has time to run it, it'll be fresh for all of us.
Absolutely. So
Yeah, the reboot. So yeah, Dresden Files is a big one.
This is going to be kind of weird, but it's actually, well, this will date the podcast, but it's the current bundle of holding I've been chasing after for a while is Deadlands, and once I've had time to read a bit of it.
The Western
Weird
horror,
West,
Weird West. Yeah, I've read some of the. Yeah, weird. Depending on what edition. Yeah, Deadlands would be certainly cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to try it. I'd love to play. It's one of those games I'd love to play. I just don't want to run. There's a lot of games like that. Like Shadowrun's kind of on the border. Like I'm not sure if I want to run it or if I just want to play it. Like I would.
I'd like to play Shadowrun. I don't think I'd like to run it.
The thing is, there's the new edition that's out. The newest edition is still like $50 or $60. So I'll probably when that drops down in price, I might inflict it on you guys. Yeah. So at least for a one shot.
And then if I was
Shadowrun.
Can we mention games that don't exist yet? Because I really want to play the new version of Delta Green. Like,
yeah,
I have a campaign idea laid out, like ready to go if they send me a Word document.
I will talk to Glancy and make him feel guilty about it.
I am interested in your ideas and wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
Yeah, I really want to play the new version of Delta Green.
The other one I would throw out there is, although Dungeon World is certainly a hoot, some other Apocalypse Engine game, just to see what it looks like from a different angle.
Is
Like
it
Monster of the Week.
Monster of the Week? Yes.
Monster of the Week, yeah. Even flat out Apocalypse World.
I do have a Apocalypse World. I picked a copy of it.
I played that in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some more Apocalypse World engine games would be really killer. But yeah, anything?
Particularly something I got from Archery a while ago when I was running games for them. Godlike, their World War II superhero powers game. Particularly because I love the fact that all of the abilities have massive downsides to it, or the political structures. Because I like the fact that the Soviets have the biggest cache of superheroes, but they're all insane because they're superhumans or they're metahumans because their training program is basically driving them nuts all the time. So, and just the setting itself.
One of the things I like if I was playing Godlike and I made my own character, I'd probably give him like a shitty useless power. Because even if you have a shitty useless power, you can like cancel out other powers by spinning willpower. So that'd be like, I'd max out my willpower. It's like, no, you're not super strong now. Screw you.
The ability to speak to squirrels prevented it.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, so you play Squirrel Girl and
I'll be Squirrel Guy. Yeah. I'll be a Squirrel Girl.
Go, my furry minions.
Go. It's David, any particular like
I'm
a white
just
wolf?
gonna have to answer all of the above.
Okay.
I love games.
Love the game.
Period.
Yeah.
And just any game that I get a chance to play, I love it.
Right.
If it's new, I want to see what the newness is. I want to see how I can apply older knowledge against it. But everything that's been mentioned so far sounds like something I want in on that campaign.
Unknown Armies.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm
that
so
one.
sad after I've read that I've never played that.
Oh, and
That's one of those games that they're actually when I talked to Shane and Greg after we recorded, they mentioned like, yeah, we're working on the whole like this is a brilliant game. I have no idea what to do with it problem, which is the core problem with Unknown Armies. It's like, holy shit, this is awesome. What the fuck can I do with this?
Yeah.
Unless I get everybody to read 10 power novels for 6 months.
I
A game I would not like to run, but would love to try and play in is Continuum. I would like to. I would like to know what a Continuum game is shaped like, so I could have some sort of model on how to do it myself.
You're gonna be the okay
because it's so bananas crazy.
Shaped like the smell of purple.
Well, the problem is, I have to say I'm the only candidate because Thad is not here right now, and we're the two time travel guys.
You don't understand, Aaron. Caleb and Thad have both borrowed the book, read it, and said, "No, I'm done. I can't do it."
Cover to cover.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that was a thing.
Third time's a charm.
We'll see. I'll take the book and see if I can absorb it.
Actually, I'd eventually like to run the new Star Wars game that came out.
Age of Empire.
Yeah.
I bought that.
Okay.
I much prefer the system in that, even though it requires special dice.
Special dice.
Well, its own particular kind of die, but it's not level based.
It requires special dice.
But the game's not level based, and that's what I really like.
Yeah.
And I would say, just as the joke option, since I said it so many years ago, and I still kind of want to play it, Hobomancer If the
because that's in a game that actually exists.
and that actually exists, or I could just get if I can't actually find it, I'll just get the new mage and make it hobos. You're all hobos.
Fatal. How could we forget Fatal?
Pretty easily. Cinnabar, Cinnabar is going to be our comedy answer, not Fatal.
By
Cinnabar
repressing memories, that's how we...
The Fatals were all going to prison option, apparently. So.
The what? Oh, no. Oh, wow.
What?
You don't know. Oh, wow.
We'll tell you when you're older.
It's horrible. It's based on some yaoi style novels with vampires with seen enemy genitalia.
All right.
Okay, good. We're moving on.
So just get some other quick answers we can answer. Let's see here. After playing through Heroes in Arcadia, what are your group's lingering impressions of Wild Talents as a system? What did you like? What you didn't like? I liked it overall, as I mentioned. It doesn't scale up at 500-point characters, but that's like superhero games in general. Cosmic character. It kind of gets weird and wonky at that point. But I don't think that's Wild Talents for street level and even global level games. I think it was great. It was about the best superhero game I've seen so far. So that's why I stuck with it so long, I think.
Yeah, because two of the things I really liked about it, one, just the variety in which you could actually create your powers, because the only previous experience I had personally had was really with mutants and masterminds, which was good up till a point, but the system itself was very exploitable, and you could and also still was pretty rigid about its power creation and what you could put into it. So
any other thoughts?
My only complaint about Wild Talents is like certain aspects and the powers need variable effect just needs to be rewritten from a pro's perspective. Because it is so difficult to understand mechanically what that is going for, and there's so many different ways to misunderstand it and still make it work within the character, but then break the game.
Yeah.
That
it's not all about your character for that one game build. So
it's variable effects not the only thing. Like area needs to be rewritten and a lot of stuff. Yeah. Certain powers are not broken, but they don't explain what those do particularly well. Otherwise, I think it's clearly the best superhero game.
I think I still prefer mutants and masterminds, but I like Wild Talents.
That has more to do with love affair levels.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No. I've never run it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have. You've run it before.
Oh, yeah, we did.
I'm sorry. It was meant to be slightly complimentary. Just your affection for mutants and masterminds is a thing of wonder.
Yeah.
My only commentary for that would be a bit more metatextual. Be very cautious of going into a game where you have a loose grip of the tropes of the genre when most of the rest of the table is experts at the tropes of that genre.
Street level. Fucking street level.
The conflagration you perish in will be mighty.
Yeah. We had many. Yeah, we had many. Yeah, the definition of street level. Let's not. Yeah.
No.
It happened.
But we got over it, and it was fine. It was great.
Blame it on the robots. That's the conflict.
Clearly.
And air conditioners.
Yes.
Clearly.
Is there any chance Caleb would run a Wild Talents or Base Raiders campaign? I want to hear Ross play in his own world. Smiley face. This is from Clave on the forums, by the way.
Yeah, I could run that.
That was enthusiastic.
Well, I don't how many games of your own game do you want to run after writing all?
I don't care.
300 pages
I'm still writing new Base Raiders material. I'm fine with this.
That's kind of like asking a fly, how much more shit do you want to eat?
Wow.
Is this going to be for us?
No.
I'm talking.
No, I would like to play it. It's just my only reservation is that I've never run Fate before. It would be I would be butchering your game for my requisite 12 to 15 sessions.
I feel like I'm butchering my
until I finally learned the rules. Based on angry comments on APs.
And not only
Has that stopped us ever before?
No.
You got that shotgun thing wrong. Don't you remember?
Yes.
No, but it makes us
the shotgun.
It makes us sit at a screen for at least 5 to 10 minutes going, aww.
So, yeah. No, I'd be happy to run that. That'd be cool.
Are there any members of the X-Human faction Firewall? I believe there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that guy who wants to play the fish head, and he's obviously going to go insane and betray everybody.
Yeah.
Drew's character. Drew is the ex-human member of Firewall. are your player most akin to?
What are Ross's future plans for Base Raiders? I'm planning to release more PDF supplements. Also, I'm getting some new authors to create bases that'll be PDFs and print-on-demand books. So we'll be having small Kickstarters for those.
And also, he is actually going to play in one of those games.
Yeah, apparently now. Yeah.
You heard him.
Yeah. Doesn't the magical underground and another question? Doesn't the magical underground and base raiders logically lead to a conflict, and humanity loses any sense of agency or control of the universe? So that was sort of one of the conflicts of the setting. Like, do non-human beings, will they take over and make humans slaves or kill them all? Well, that is sort of the point of the game, is like to try and reconcile the differences between magical beings and other non-humans with humans. That's why the heroes are necessary to do that. So
Hearts and minds.
Exactly.
When they take over and humanity is slaves, that's the gritty splat book.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's
the reign of sparkles.
yeah, the reign of Sparkles, the unicorn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In which you rebel from the dystopian unicorn for society.
Eloy, thank you.
So let's see here. Will there be any monsters and other childish things games in the future? Perhaps a campaign. Yeah,
Yes.
we just recorded one based on Rick and Morty, which was a fun one shot.
Hilarious.
It was a special game. You will see.
We all know the characters quite
leading in the
well.
next one, there a Godzilla Nest scenario being developed. Godzilla Nest is a creepypasta that I mentioned I liked and I wanted to base it on. So I've come up with a hook for it, where you'd be playing kids. And be using the weird kid powers rules from Bigger Bad, so you wouldn't have a monster. But the idea is that you start playing these weird video games and you get powers based off of them. But I'm also going to incorporate stuff from like I recently read this article on Polygon talking about Steam trading and the like scamming and card trading and like stuff like that.
Using Steam hats to launder money.
Yes, exactly, and stuff like that. So like the seedy underworld of digital collectibles and creepy ass games. So. This is from Beast from the forums. I think he's German. What games are you sad that you didn't manage to record it?
Episode 1 of
New World, which I deleted because I'm a monster. Because I explained the story and the history in the previous segment.
The first 30 minutes of
Yeah.
Yeah, Better Angels.
the cursed campaign.
Oh.
Yeah, we actually had to have a little. We had to re-record like Gail explaining what we missed in that part.
God,
We recovered well.
Yeah.
we did. We made it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that tone of voice.
Well, I
Barely.
mean, it was a hard game to like between scheduling conflicts and all sorts of stuff. We got it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
our final thoughts about Twilight Imperium when we played that.
Holy shit.
Burn everything to the ground.
I don't know. I'm still looking at it going, challenge accepted. Round 2 is coming.
Yeah.
Dan on that.
You go nuts, buddy.
You and Dan can like.
Shine on, you crazy
I see
diamonds.
this. I see this future 20 years from now, or maybe 10 years, because I don't know if Dan will last that long. Keep seeing those double downs. But, Dan and David just in a basement somewhere. Like every Sunday, they come down there and play for like 6 hours. Like they're like
We're on turn 7.
Yes. It's just they leave it there, and yeah. Let's see here. Are any white whales of a system or scenario out there that you have to play or never got right?
I want to get into epic level D&D or Pathfinder or just an epic level fantasy game. I would be happy to get into a long running fantasy game that got beyond, I don't know, what level was it? Level 7?
Yeah. That's one of the main reasons why we did the New World campaign, because I wanted to go all the way to epic, and we kind of did that. And
Yeah, I guess.
if you haven't done that, it's not if you don't have that notch on your belt. I totally understand that.
We did Fortunes of War, but I mean there was like no magic in the system or anything like that. So yeah, I guess that's like part of my gamer chops. I'm never gonna.
Yeah.
I would like to do that, but I would like to not do it in D20.
Yeah.
So I guess I wouldn't like to do that.
We could do it something like that in Rain, or even using a superhero system. Like you could do that in Wild Talents, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Will
that's.
there be dragons to slay? Possibly inside of a
We fought
dungeon?
Merlin. We fought
Yes,
Merlin in
yeah.
the very last thing of
Yeah,
Wild
we kind of
Town
went
stuff.
there, yeah. But David wasn't there for that. Any others? Any of a particular type of game, or the White Whale, something?
I really wish I could run a like epic level Nice Black Asian campaign.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
Well, if you try it, I'm down.
yeah, and just you.
And
So,
me. And me.
you, yeah,
And
I could be
me.
a two-person. Okay.
No, I mean, I like Lights Back
Yeah.
Agents. I'm okay with
I have the Conspiramid. It's enormous.
Yeah.
And would take years to run.
Dogs in the vineyard.
Oh yeah, because we've done that and we never quite pulled it off.
Get
I feel.
through it. Just kind
Yeah.
of false starts on those. So.
Yeah.
It was a good first thing, but then somebody disappeared back to the Navy or whatever.
Yeah, that was Chris. Yeah,
And that was kind of out there to begin with.
yeah. That would be a good one to get done. I know I would like to get like some sort of. I mean, I would like some high level kind of stuff too, like. Maybe necessary. One thing I would always like to try is some sort of role playing game mixing in like personal level stuff with mass combat, like organizational stuff. So like restarting that Fallout campaign, I that 2-shot game I did into an actual campaign or a fantasy or something like that, where you like are a person but you control the fate of nations and stuff like that.
So Birthright. You want to play Birthright.
But good. So and maybe Fallout themed or Eclipse Phase or
Well,
something.
actually, I totally want to go back to that Fallout game.
Yeah,
That
the
was
Fallout, like, because I actually spent the time to read the mass combat rules for GURPS and actually figured it out, and that's not easy to do. That's like, GURPS rules are not, like, casually read, especially shit like that. So, I would like to revisit that. Another question. Do you listen to actual plays or podcasts yourself? We do. I have, like, that was one of the reasons why I mentioned this in the history, is like I actually did listen to a bunch of actual play podcasts from RPGMP3.com and Yogg-Sothoth, and that got me the idea of like, hey, this could be good stuff for the podcast, easy to record and do. But I haven't lately because I haven't had the commuting or the sort of right. I'm not doing the right kind of thing for long podcasts. Like I listen to Night Vale because that's half an hour and that's like a commute
That's
to the
pretty
office
ideal.
and back. Yeah. If I had a longer commute or if I was doing a road trip by myself, I'd be listening to some actual plays. Because I know when there's like several of us driving together, like I don't think we all want to listen to the actual 3-hour podcast. But anyways, you guys.
Very rarely, because I know you mentioned some of the soft stuff that I pointed out when I was writing some of my stuff.
Yeah.
But more or less not. And although I'm guilty of not listening to anything that we record either. Cause,
I do sometimes, not the entire thing, but I'll listen to parts.
So-
I'll listen to good bits, like I'll skip around, like, I remember that.
or the other. I know the other big.
We got some fucking art yugs for sale. Like I've listened to that several times.
The sad thing is for gaming stuff, the one that I got hooked onto, I think you and Tom pointed out, was How Did This Get Made with the it's like the movies.
Oh yeah, How Did This Get Made is a
Yeah,
hilarious podcast,
and
that's pretty easy to digest in a couple short trips.
There's been one actual play I've listened to
Yeah,
several times, and that was Glancy's run of Divine Fire.
at PAX. Oh yeah, that was.
Because it's when you have like
I didn't listen to the whole thing.
When
I listened to a
when
big
you have
chunk of it.
Glancy
Yeah.
running a version of your Call of Cthulhu campaign, I must listen to this.
Oh, yeah, no.
I must learn
I told-
all
I-
details.
I have listened to some parts from the Drunken Uglies road trip campaign, but they've it's 100 episodes of road trip. They've run more road trip than I, the author, have ever run, and I applaud them. Congratulations, you guys rock! Thank you so much. But holy shit,
Come the last.
yeah, probably. So, Bill, any?
Oh man. As far as gaming podcasts, I did listen to Fear the Boot for a while, and Bear Swarm back when they were, about gaming.
Yeah, not so much the wrestling now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moved on from that. APs, I don't know. I occasionally listen to some of ours, usually ones that I'm not in, just to know what's going on and stuff. So I eventually get the jokes in a non-anecdote kind of fashion.
Yeah.
But, not much beyond that.
All right, David.
On occasion, I'll tell you the one thing that I most definitely don't do is listen to any of the APs that I'm in, because I am my own worst critic. I'll listen to those and go, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. What was I thinking? Punching the dog! And I'll move on.
Over and over
And over again.
Hey, it led to a great memorial.
It did.
Caleb. You designed it.
It went from that to like it goes all the way back around again to being brilliant. Like you shouldn't beat yourself up from that. That's like again the Andy Kaufman performance.
It was like a Will Ferrell comedy.
Yeah.
skit. We just keep doing it until it's funny again.
Yeah.
But
You entertained all of us.
Yeah.
I do listen to, like Bill, the podcast that I'm not involved in. I just don't do so regularly.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing. When I'm working, I put my earbuds in, and I'm either listening to music to keep me going, or if I find comedy, I'll just stop. And you know what I really want now? Gaming podcast. I got a fever, and the only cure is more Aaron.
So you've listened to Aaron's...
A line that has never been uttered in...
Oh, the listeners out there.
Don't be so hard.
Yeah, they've come to expect high quality adventures. So we got some more questions from Gorka Morka. Why has RPPR not talked about Cthulhu and Cthulhu? It's World War II and Cthulhu mix seems right up RPPR's alleys. At low hanging fruit, not Timpy. To be honest,
haven't heard of it. So.
Yeah, some of us haven't heard of it. I mean, I've heard of it, but to be fair, like I'm interested in World War II as a time period, but it is not. I feel, especially, maybe it's like the video games like Medal of Honor, all these other that do. There's just been so like they think that if you're doing historical, it has to be World War II. I just feel like it's oversaturated a lot of the time, and it's
permission
just
to reword the question slightly.
Yeah.
Tom, I understand that you guys are thinking about, or there's this game called Octoon Cthulhu. Tom, perhaps you guys might think about running this game, Tom, at some point in time in the future.
Well,
Tom.
to be honest, yes, World War II is my wheelhouse, but I haven't heard of it until it was mentioned.
All right.
And B, I really don't want to learn another system when just using Call of Cthulhu works.
I think it's Call of Cthulhu compatible.
But just using regular Call of Cthulhu for my own stuff works just fine.
Dude, we put Cthulhu in motherfucking everything.
Yeah.
Like putting Cthulhu
Everything
in World War
else
II
counts.
only for a book is like saying we could only swim in the bathtub. Like we put Cthulhu in everything.
It's like the Mrs. Dash of our
yeah,
A
like
little dabble do
you
you.
can't have a vampire game without Cthulhu just popping in there. Like the last session, he's everywhere.
That was played from the beginning.
Well, you had it, Caleb, going
You had me going.
for a while.
Next time it won't. All right.
Or will it? That's how he fools you.
That is how he does it.
Carcosa.
I never made any promises. All right. So that answers that. When will RPPR go on the Patreon site? Patreon. I've actually thought about this, and I probably will set up a Patreon for RPPR. It's just a matter of figuring out what a good rewards. I don't want to. I really appreciate every donation RPPR gets that helps cost for things like new audio recorders, web hosting. RPPR actual play alone uses between 2 and 3 terabytes of bandwidth a month.
And Ross's meth
Yeah. No.
We're switching to crocodile shortly.
Well, that's a weird change to go from meth to crocodile.
Yeah, that's not the best.
No, it was meant for.
I didn't look enough like a zombie. I gotta bring on the necrotizing.
I can't be a poser, man. I gotta up my game. So when I can think of some good rewards that won't take too much work to actually fulfill, I will probably set that up.
Meanwhile, have you heard of RPPR B-Sides?
Yeah, B-Sides. So, a few questions I'd like to ask RPPR members to answer individually, please. Who are your favorite game designers, favorite game settings, favorite fiction writers? What have they written that I should read? And what games would you like to play?
Okay.
So we'll do one at a time. So I want to let you all know so you can be thinking about them when you're not answering. So first off, favorite game designer.
I like Greg Stolze a lot. I think he's very good. Trying to think of other ones. Yeah, Greg Stolze. He's
All
right there. I want to say Vincent Baker, but then I don't want to say Vincent.
All right.
Like I want to say Vincent Baker, but I don't want Vincent Baker people to be like, only Vincent Baker! He is the way! And so, yeah.
All right.
Hello. Have you heard of the good news of Vincent Baker?
Pretty much. He is the Apple of game designers.
Well, it's a tough choice, but I'm gonna have to say Kevin Symbiote.
Yeah, Tom's out of reach. It's a bold move. Bold strategy.
Probably pretty much everyone else is going to say, but I'll also throw in Mike Merles for Iron Heroes.
Yeah.
That is still...
I actually thanked him at PAX East this year. He's like, "Thank you for Iron Heroes." Oh, we're on our way now. But yeah.
Thank you for remembering something I did nearly a decade ago.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, "All right, thanks. All right." So, all right, very good, Tom.
I like Adam Scott Glancy and Steve Jackson.
Yes, Steve Jackson's. GURPS is solid game design. Like you could run anything. It's
There's reasons it's called
Swiss
GURPS,
Army knife of gaming. Not necessarily the best, but you can get it done. So
which I'll be shortly doing.
yeah. David.
Well, I still worship at the throne of Saint Gary.
All right.
It's kind of hard not to. A lot of the games that we have today is because he went, "Hey, I've got an idea. Let's make some extra dice and roll these and see what happens." But yeah, you gotta pay respect to the originals. But all of the modern ones, pretty much everybody that designs a game puts it out there. I love you and I thank you for it, especially the two that are sitting here at this table, Mr. Payton, Mr. Stokes. I thank you.
You realize we don't pay you, right?
I feel like you don't pay me.
I never will.
But I always end up in the playtest.
Caleb, this is what friendship is like.
Yeah.
Human interaction.
How do you like? How's it taste?
Deeply uncomfortable with all of this.
All right, that's life. Wow, I'm surprised none of you have brought up the otherworldly name of Raven McCracken, but
Oh, Raven.
Shine on you.
And your Cinnabar.
He's legit one of your favorites.
yeah.
You contributed to both Kickstarter.
I only contributed to the first one.
Still, before he was something.
No, the one that he set up that was mathematically possible for to succeed. Because remember, the first one was 30 grand short. If all the people, all limited rewards, it could only everyone. So just so you understand, he did a Kickstarter to do the new edition Cinnabar, but he had limited rewards for everything. And if you count it, multiply, figure out if every single for every single reward was filled up, it would raise $25,000. But he set the goal at $55,000, so it was impossible.
And remember, he said that his house burned down, which meant that the meth lab exploded. So
he's been alive too long to be a meth. He's
seeing his front page, I'm gonna say I'll say Cinnabar is a thing of wonder to look at.
I'm just glad that they exist in this world.
Real answer, any of the guys with Arc Dream who've worked with one role, so Shane Ivey, Glancy, and everybody, and also everybody else. Benjamin Ball for Monsters. So because that was one system that thoroughly surprised me when I first started working with it, and I still want to do stuff with it because like when I did NIM, it functioned very well for what I was wanting to, and then Junkyard. So
that book is just so well written.
Yeah,
like,
it's
even
so
if you're not
going
to play the game, it's just fun to read.
It's a lot. I remember kind of when I got the copy, I'm like, oh. Wow, this is really cool. This is interesting. Good idea.
Yeah, there's a reason why I was like, I read this. It's like I want to write for this. I want to bring this, get more people involved.
This involves my childlike wonder of toys and
make
cartoons.
It dark. Anyway,
that's
I'm kind of surprised they haven't mentioned yet. Kenneth Hite and Robin Laws for making me keeping me humble, making me realize no matter what I do, I'll never be as smart as those guys.
That's my main gaming podcast I listen to. Ken and Robin talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So good.
One other I would like to mention, Sandy Peterson. Sandy Peterson is the main designer behind Call of Cthulhu, and he is still going around.
A relative newcomer to the field.
Yeah, he's Mormon with a bunch of kids, bunch of grandkids. He just posts all the time, making new stuff. He worked on Doom and Doom 2 and Age of Empires and a bunch of other video games, and now he's doing Cthulhu Wars. And I met him briefly at Gencon last year. I'm like, thank you for Call of Cthulhu, because that's probably been the most influential game to me, more so than Dungeons and Dragons, I think, because I certainly run more Call of Cthulhu than D&D at this point, and it's certainly my go-to pickup game. And so that would be favorite game design. So favorite game settings.
EP is pretty awesome. Eclipse Phase just kind of blew my mind. Like the first 150 pages of that core book, I was just like, well, I don't know what rules are after all this, but I know I'm gonna run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, I would love to run this. How can I ever do this? Like,
Yeah.
When I first got it, that first year it came out, and I'm so glad.
I'm glad we hacked our way through it with
Yeah.
pre-gen adventures and adventures where we only
Tutorial
use part of the
adventure, yeah.
rules and stuff like that.
EP is definitely.
Because that was kind of a hard sell at first for the group.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no.
so-
It took a year between getting it and actually running.
Well, I remember when we were driving back from Gencon the year you got the book.
Yes.
You were telling me about them, and the whole. I think from almost Indianapolis to St. Louis, you were telling me about them because I kept having questions. Well, wait, then what? So there's
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested, but also what?
Yeah, it's just a hot mess of awesomeness. So
Yeah. Then after St. Louis, you just put headphones on and left me in the dark for the next 3 hours.
oh, you dealt with it. You were playing your music, so I was like, yeah. Anyway,
Tom's music.
yeah, basically. Bill, any favorite games there?
I'll be the fantasy grognard here and say Eberron.
I like that.
Mixed it up.
I will say Planescape Torment. Or Planescape. I mean, not just the video game, the actual box
The
sets.
thing in its own right.
So Planescape is definitely my favorite D&D setting.
Clearly not auto duel.
That's a rule set, not a setting.
There's a setting for it too.
Yeah.
There's
Auto duel.
Anyway, David, Aaron, any favorite game setting?
Actually, for me, just because of how diverse the story and the factions were, Old World of Darkness Mage. I think that one of the first books I got, I was bumming that off of Tom.
Brave Rebel fighting the man.
Yeah, well, yeah, looking at that.
Cyber hacker.
Cyber hack. Well, no, the thing is, I will bring this up. The quick story, because Tom always joked about this. That he said, "You're gonna like this because they have magic hackers." And I looked, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I found the Sons of Ether and went, mad scientist magic faction. Hell yes.
The one mage campaign I played in, they wouldn't let me be a Sons of Ether.
That's bullshit.
Because we know you too well, and we know that the
No,
worst
this
thing
is
you would have
someone
done
else.
is Death Ray.
Yeah. Well, this is someone else.
But in any case, no, I just
I would have. I mean,
But out of reading any of the old World of Darkness stuff, I absolutely love the diversity between all the factions, how alive that they always seemed, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I didn't pick up on the new Mage, because I looked at their factions and went the system's better, yes, but I would just prefer to run this old one. So,
Brian, David.
The more I think about it, do I have a favorite setting? I'm just going to have to jump on the EP bandwagon.
All right.
Join us.
Yeah, join us. All right.
If it was a D&D, I'd have to go for Forgotten Realms, just because there's a little bit more flexibility with which different.
It's
types
a
you can
perfectly fun setting. I mean, I've run games in.
no
one of
dark.
my
Perfectly
first.
cromulent.
Well, yeah, it's perfectly cromulent. And it embiggens the gaming soul. The first campaign I ever lasted more than 2 sessions was Forgotten Realms that I ever ran. That was back when I was running games at Metagames when it was still on Glintstone. Anyway, who are your favorite fiction writers, and what have they written that I should read? Tom and I have already answered.
Yeah.
I mentioned, Tom mentioned H.P. Lovecraft. I mentioned Mark Twain, Graham Greene, Huckleberry
F. Paul
Finn.
Anderson.
So anyway, fiction writers.
Jeez, if we're going that far back,
Anyone,
holy shit.
just fiction writers. That's it.
I'm not going to be check out this Joseph Conrad new comic. It's new on the scene.
Well, Graham Greene's not that old. I mean, he's
I know. I can't do it. It's just I got to do lately. So lately, I really like Ben Winters. He does the Last Policeman books.
Oh, the
which are detective noir stories in the midst of a very slow apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's a really cool setting, and he writes very clean, workmanlike prose. I mention authors all the time every time I'm on the podcast. That's my latest.
Another writer recently. I just finished Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami, and that's really good. It's a cyberpunk magical realism detective noir story that is just great and has some gaming fodder in it. Anyways, Bill.
Much love to Jim Butcher.
Yeah, Dresden Files.
It must be done. Let's see. Still a big Terry Pratchett fan.
Yeah,
Keeps churning them out. That's probably my big 2. I could go on from there.
Charles Stross.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I figured you
Laundry.
had that covered already.
I actually didn't mention. I didn't like. It was just the first ones off the top of my head. So that's all. Yeah. But yeah, Charles Stross. All right. So.
Mine is Pratchett all the way.
All right.
If I am looking for just a fiction book to immerse myself in, Pratchett is my first choice every time.
Yeah.
It's not as heavy as many of the others mentioned. He's kind of a brain candy kind of author, but you can literally pick up just any of the Discworld books and find yourself reading, and then when you put it down, several hours have passed, and you go, where did all that time go? Why can't I feel my legs?
Mostly because he doesn't put chapter breaks in, that bastard.
Yeah.
He doesn't. But Charles Stross is also a good one. Another one of those I can't feel my legs authors.
Yeah. July. Next launching novel is coming out in July. So. Aaron?
So,
And how bad is it? I'm hoping
big
to
one,
get
especially since
hospitalized
I've read a lot of
right
his
now, so I can
recent
actually read it.
recent stuff. Neil Gaiman, just
Yeah.
for sheer creativity and. Out of the recent, I mentioned this to Ross and a couple other ones, but I finally went back and found a download for All the Sandman, and then made my realization: why the hell did I not read this in high school?
Yeah.
But he was the big one. Actually, one of the big fantasy ones out of at least my youth that I just recently completed was Robert Jordan. I know a lot of people had issues with him just for hyper descriptiveness, but I really did enjoy The Wheel of Time too. And then on top of that, Brandon Sanderson, because he did a deft job, I think, of pretty much completing that storyline out. And I've yet to read any of his solo stuff, which I do need to, because I've heard good things about.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that one too, especially just because of the way he treats his fans.
Yeah.
Sanderson is freaking awesome as a person.
Yeah, I missed him at
and
Gen
as an
Con,
author.
but
Yeah.
Patrick Rothfuss. Sorry, had to put that in there. The Name of the Wind.
Oh,
King
okay.
Killer Chronicle.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Very
Be
good.
much worse.
And what game would you love to play, or what games would you love to play but expect that you never will? Diplomacy, because I care about my friends. I don't want to lose them. So,
Do you think
I don't buy it.
Do you think you would really
I don't
break us?
buy it.
I've heard
Okay,
it.
do we have a fourth? Because Sean totally wants to do that.
Oh God!
People talk about it like it's fucking Jumanji or something. Like,
Honestly, I expect to lose friends over games of Mario
I've heard it from
Kart.
3 separate sources. All right, 3. So like, if it was one guy, I wouldn't buy it. But it just keeps happening every time I talk about it.
Okay, Ross, here's
Yeah.
what we do. Plan C.
Yeah.
We find us a couple of hobos.
No.
why do your plans always involve hobos?
Hobos and prostitutes all around.
All right, so that's my game. What's next? Any other games you would love to? Other thing would be Campaign North Africa, because I just want to see it, or just any major scale war game that would take weeks to actually play. Because I don't know, I that's an interest to me. But yeah, any other games you guys would love to
Paranoia.
play? Paranoia.
I'd like to get a chance to play Paranoia and just watch the Caleb faces at the...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, please hit the button to kill yourself. What did I do?
Yeah.
And Aaron burning through all of his clones in, 5 minutes? Was it?
It would take longer than that. I mean, it would take at least a good hour. So
5.5 minutes.
Yeah. Very good. Any other games? All right.
Actually, I do have one because I like to say it's because I've had the manual for years, but I know nobody will ever want to run it. I have the old Farscape D20 manual because I love
Escape and D20.
Yeah, no, I love the setting. I love all the detail they put into it, but it's D20, and nobody's gonna put up with it, and I can't blame them for it. So
David would.
okay.
All right.
David will play anything.
Let's see
not
here.
gonna be
This is from Bishop Sans Pants on the forums. What do you feel about the use of props from lit candles and period cosplay, character cards, and music, etc.? Set the mood. What props have you or would you like to use? If you feel positively about props, we don't use music. Copyright issues. Also audio quality issues. Because we want to make sure people can hear us when we play, so that is a consideration.
Yeah, because
so we don't do the music. So.
Yeah, because the main one issue that came up when we were doing the Shadows of Esteren.
Well, that was again quality.
Yeah, and the fact that we just had that one Silent Hill song playing.
This was just a loop.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Sometimes it helps to get into character a little bit. I don't think I can really do Melisandre any justice unless I have the purple scarf to flourish over my shoulder when I say, the Melodious!
all right.
And trying to teach myself how to play guitar just so that the next time that Dungeon World comes around,
David commits to games. Holy
I can
shit!
play
He
just
is
a couple of
He is a
chords.
team player, man. Just
If I can learn the right way
you're
to
like
do
the
it.
equivalent of that guy on the football. It's like I'm just here to play. I love the game. I love the family. Thank you, Jesus. Let's go. And like you are team spirit. Holy shit.
Dude, he's like.
Yeah.
He's like those the two cheerleaders from Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
Go Spartans! Go Spartans!
Yeah. Tom, thoughts on props?
I like to do handouts. Like if I actually have
Yeah.
if I have information you've gathered and
The handouts can be useful, especially
in the form of like a cutout newspaper article.
Yeah.
I think it's good to actually have a newspaper article.
Oh yeah, certainly. They certainly add like keep the players engaged even when it's not their scene because they can be going over the handouts and
But
trying to figure
I think
shit
stuff
out.
like candles and all that stuff.
There's a line for theatrics. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Bill.
I generally like them, especially sort of working on the meta level puzzles.
Oh yeah, the
that
puzzles for your
rolled
D&D
up
next
for the
games
roll-
have been fun.
Yeah. The downside being those require work.
Yeah.
Time and effort.
Prep work.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yep.
Scary.
I mean, if you're going to be putting together, say, a map, and you say, all right, I've got this map to hand you guys, and it's just a piece of graph
Like,
paper.
Yeah.
I've seen things, man.
First, you have to evaluate the free mapping softwares that are available. Then you have to begin to learn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Caleb.
I have this idea for this game. I've been like toying for like 2 years using cards,
Yeah.
like where there's certain things you see in the scenario that trigger, like, because it's an amnesia scenario, trigger things, and every character has a different reaction to the same clue, so you pass out cards
Yeah.
so people think about it differently. But man, so much work to organize and do. So I never.
I didn't
to
come
do
here
it.
to work. I came here to game.
Exactly.
So thoughts on D&D next. We're gonna run it whenever it comes out.
Yeah.
But my prop, I did use props before with the pretzel sticks in No Evil.
Oh yeah, that was great.
So
And that was a good
Meeting
bamboo
with-
supplement.
Yeah, it was good. I loved it. So for D&D next, we'll get to it when it comes out. So that we'll table that real discussion for that until after it comes out. What is the most novel role playing system you've seen? Dread for me. If they went the same thing, was the most novel system that you've seen that seems like it would work. So, but yeah, Dread, easy for me. Any other novel systems?
Not a tabletop game as much as a CCG, but I really did like the old Deadlands because their way of resolving combat wasn't to compare your numbers versus these other numbers. It was, all right, draw a poker hand.
Yeah.
All of the cards had a little symbol at the top that told you what they counted as for poker hands.
I like
and
that
everybody
too.
got a 5-card stud hand.
Yeah, I'm one of the yeah. I think they dropped that in one of the later editions, but I don't remember. Anyway.
Fiasco.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost not like,
Even an RPG.
yeah. It's almost sort of just like a game-shaped hole
Yeah.
in which you pour,
Collaborative
Improv
stuff,
into it.
yeah.
I poured booze into it.
That also works. You really should play that
Fantastic
game.
results.
Yeah, you really should try playing that game sober sometime.
I don't know. Apparently, it works pretty well when I didn't.
Yeah,
So why am I
Right, well,
supposed to
wouldn't
be
you
in
like to
control?
know?
We need a control for
Yeah.
the experiment.
I guess.
Yeah. All right. Aaron, Tom, any novel RPGs come to mind?
Yeah, Dread pretty much was the one. Although I know my primary experience remains with the video that we shot. So,
Dirty World, and by extension,
Oh,
Better
yeah.
Angels.
Yeah.
You know,
The characters.
like where you can talk people to death and
Yeah.
you
or
know,
just
stuff
run
like
away
that.
from the.
Yeah,
And
or run away from prostitutes.
or fire a cloud of screaming angry blackbirds.
Yeah.
How do you feel about cooperative board games? I mean, we play them. Arkham
Yeah.
Horror, we like
Yeah,
them.
they're
In fact, I think we
They
prefer.
infuriate me.
they-
No.
Yeah, I think we prefer. I think we prefer.
Yeah,
cooperative.
we definitely do.
Yeah,
Especially
'cause
Arkham
the-
Horror. Yeah.
Well, if it's players against each other, we don't enjoy it nearly as much as if it's a collaborative. Because, well, frankly, if I'm going to be facing off against Caleb or Ross, my option is not how do I win this game, it's how do I be the second to last to be eliminated.
Dude, if there's dice, you win the game.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
If there's death traps, I lose. My dice can only hold out for so long against your death traps. Or Ross's
Yeah. No, clearly.
scheming.
Horrible monstrosity.
Let's see here. So we've already gone into these are questions from Leviathan on the forums. How do you guys go about introducing new players into the group? We sort of went over that in history, blood in, blood
And
out.
in episodes, too.
Yeah, we just are horrible. Just throw them. Yeah. Lately we've gotten a little
It's
better.
time to teach you how to swim.
Yeah.
What's the sharks there
We've gotten
for?
better though, I think, because
No, not sharks,
the
piranhas.
new players that were introduced in Hex Hollow had previously been in some D&D Next games that aren't going to be posted, and yeah, I think so. We're getting a little bit easing them in.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
a
they
little
were fine
better.
with it,
So,
That's
yeah,
fine.
the haunting is the goofus. It's not what you want. So. Next question: does anyone in the RPPR sequel except for Caleb and Ross have anything in the pipeline as far as actual RPG products go? So,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's see here. Out of any RPG ever made, which you wish you made yourself? D&D or Shadowrun for the sweet RPG dollars? Probably Shadowrun, I think, because with the video game and video games, I think it's probably actually Deadlands right now because that's been brought
Yeah.
out by
Options as
Microsoft.
an HBO series.
Yeah. So.
Oh, really?
Way to keep that artistic integrity.
Well, I make RPGs. I make elf games. Like.
I know, but I don't think the guy was asking the question is like, do you want money?
Yes.
That's not what I heard when you read the question
Yeah,
aloud.
that's what I heard. That's how we interpret things differently. All right.
I would also like money.
Yeah. Anyway. But I mean, which RPG ever made? I mean, if you're talking about art, I wish I made Unknown Armies because, like, holy shit, that's the best game no one plays.
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu. I wish I had made that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I mean, because it's one of the few '80s games that you can actually play today with, and it's the '80s game design, and it's still a solid, enjoyable game. Like very few games from the '80s are like that.
I'm trying to think which one was the first to do the open gaming license. Mainly
Third
because-
Ed.
Yeah. Third ending.
I wish I had come up with that particular idea. It's I've got a lot of ideas for how to make this
Yeah.
game, but I think that the community has a lot more. So I'm going to turn to them and say, do your best.
On
See
the
what you
other
can add to
hand,
it.
if
Yeah.
you had done that, then you would be Ryan Dancy. Would that be worth it?
It might be.
Controversy.
It really might be.
Yeah.
I would pick Over the Edge because the amount of substances that must have been consumed to make that game. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a long, strange trip it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd pick something like that, or like Fiasco or Dogs, or like something where like it. RPGs are generally emulations of other forms of fiction and media, and like when people come up with RPGs, they're just totally divorced from any like base subject matter. Like Unknown Armies, Tim Powers novels, I guess, but
Yeah.
it is very much its own animal. So
Yeah.
like any game like that, I'm usually pretty much in awe of.
You wouldn't be Vincent Baker just for the cult?
No.
Well, actually, I have to say it, if I'm being honest with myself, Palladium.
Yeah.
Because if I was in charge of it, I actually would have listened to.
You would have made a new edition.
I would have made a new edition.
Yeah.
I would have actually got new art. In my.
It's new art.
So.
Newer,
Newish.
newer,
Newer.
and more frequently.
Yeah.
Actually, I would just say Eclipse Phase just because of all the raw creativity that goes on over there, too. Plus, that means I would be an immortal cyber vampire.
Yeah. You would be the coolest person in gaming.
Yeah. Have you seen their move? Damn.
They are pretty.
I just go there like,
Stylish.
I'm with RPPR. Thank you for liking my stuff.
Everybody's in like Hawaiian shirts and khaki cargo shorts and Gencon, and then you go over there and
Sandals
they're playing
and
like
socks, yeah.
obscure German techno and
And all leather wave hair.
yeah.
And you go like, can I come to the future?
I think the booth is a rave.
Exactly. Can I come to the future with you? Get away, plebe.
We have to end this freelancers meeting. We have to go to the party.
Pale, gaunt, yet beautiful women smoking thin cigarettes and judging you.
Exactly.
What's been everyone's reaction, old and new crew alike, to RPPR's popularity, and how do you handle criticism?
Mad with power.
Poorly.
What are you implying?
Actually, I do have a story for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking about that because I joke with everybody else that yeah, I managed to achieve like sub-Z grades internet celebrity that somebody will eventually look around and say something to me on the internet. But this last Gen Con, I was wandering about in the dealer room, and some guy stopped me and said, "You're Aaron, aren't you?"
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, you saw my badge, you saw my RPPR button." And I said, "Oh yeah, I guess you saw that." And he stopped dead and said, "No, I recognized your voice." And I sat here going, "The hell?"
That's happened several times at Gen Con for me.
Yeah, well, I would understand you because you're part of the main podcast. Well, you're on the main podcast, and you were the writer of the stories. But sitting here going like, "Oh,
I submitted to a horrible
Thank you, Mike.
photograph with my fan.
Yeah?
I forwarded I'm gonna look dumb here.
Yeah. All right.
I'll be honest, the first time it weirded me right the hell out at Gen Con because, like, where we live, like, normally, like, Sarah will, a misguided attempt to be a supportive spouse, like, mention, like, I wrote an RPG book, and everyone's like, what's an RPG? Like, and that's, like, 99% of my life. But then, like, Gen Con people are just like, oh my god, you're Caleb. I'm like, looking around, I instantly think it's a trick.
where's the sniper?"
But then it's very pleasant and nice and enjoyable. But I was
real.
not prepared for it.
And then you realize it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always nice and cool.
It is
It's
sometimes
always a positive.
I do get people messaging me on various things, like on Steam, because there's RPPR Steam group, and I'm the admin for it. So like, oh, that must be the RPPR. And I say I'm the RPPR guy on there, so like they do some detective work there, and they ask questions, and that's fine. Sometimes they go like, they just start asking me, what do you think about the show? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't watch that show. Watch our podcast.
Except for regular shows.
Yeah. So it's very kind of, once or twice they've sent me like, I got this on the Humble Bundle, I don't need it. I'm like, all right, a free game I won't play. Thanks. I probably won't. So that's been kind of weird, but yeah. Bill or anything?
Yeah.
All right. Or criticism?
I'm very grateful for all of the RPPR
No, incredibly.
fandom.
Yeah, no,
And it's
thank
very
you.
cool to interact with the fans in every medium.
It
It's
is.
just that it's very
And also,
strange.
yeah, to go out.
It's very strange for a lifelong nerd to receive recognition
The
for
RPPR fan meetup's always awesome.
Yeah, and actually just to kind of
I'm gonna
shout out to
remember
them,
this year's.
the friends that we've made from that,
Resolutions.
specifically Tadori.
Yeah.
So he's been pretty much there every year as one of the biggest supporters.
Yes.
So thank you, man.
Thanks,
So
So following up on that, this is from Infinite Jesting. Also, Leviathan says, and thanks for all the free content. You guys and what you do mean a lot to me, and I'll keep supporting your work. Yay. So Infinite Jesting.
Thank you for being a fan.
That's not a question, Leviathan. Sorry.
Thank you for being
And he'll be like, oh, Caleb yelled at me.
And he's gone.
Hey guys, just one big question. How have you changed since this all started as role players, writers, maybe even as people? Is there any moment in the APs you would have done differently? Anything you would have written differently? So thanks for all the awesome episodes and APs. I just re-listened to all of No Evil. So good.
Oh, I'm
Silence
sure
Pistol?
we would have edited ourselves, right?
It-
Clearly.
Yeah.
You're like, it's like, yes, that's Boulder Dash, yes.
Well,
Silenced pistol, dog.
yeah.
Very, very good answer.
So much more effective.
I wouldn't have deleted.
Fun
Yeah, I wouldn't have
done.
deleted episode 1. I would have had a better backup system for APs.
Would have said superhero game. Fuck that noise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we've all. I mean, I think because of the APs, we've become more aware of our playing style, and I think we have matured as players and game masters.
I'm going to air quote the microphone.
Yeah, matured.
Around matured.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it has helped, and I think because now that I'm aware of what I've done in the past, I want to try different things in the future.
I would have given
And,
up Palladium sooner.
Yeah.
If I was to be honest with myself.
You haven't given it up, Tom.
Yes, I have. David.
He can he can leave anytime he wants to.
All right, the next. Okay, when I actually insist on running a Palladium game, then you can say I told you so.
Yeah.
Till then, nope.
All right.
Okay.
So
well,
defensive
Duly noted.
tonight, Tom.
All right. So, Aaron, any thoughts?
Slander. I'm defending myself against slander.
Actually, the only thing I could probably say, and mainly just running it with you guys, is more confidence, because I will admit, beginning I felt I was kind of a very small voice in the the booming giants of everybody else who knew how to probably
I don't know
act
what
and
you
project
mean.
and I hold
Surely you speak madness.
No, but
Let me speak my piece. It had.
thank you guys.
see. There it is.
But in any case, no, as a better character to kind of integrate and become more part of the story than just say, I repair this part. Thank you for letting me be here. So,
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that as well. I think
Aaron, can I have a caster?
Oh
One of the
god.
first. That's the first thing you ever see.
Yes, that's a story for another time. We don't need it here.
Yeah, we were going long as it is.
Yeah.
We're like 2 episodes in. Anyway. So Jay asked, how do you feel about running scenes out of order in a game? Effective, ineffective most of the time. Things like we say this happened and later coming back and play out how that came about, or players in different scenes that occurs during different points in time and location, or even flashbacks to that one time when. And I know we're going to be experimenting with a Trail of Cthulhu game that's explicitly set up like that.
Or we did.
tomorrow, yeah.
Oh well, I
And
think
what was
it's-
that called? Final Revelation?
Yeah.
Well, and let's also be honest, with a very thorough murder, that
Yeah,
was
that's a-
part of the joy of the system, part of the fun of the scenario in and of itself. So I'm all over that, just because not only is there the novelty of it, but it's one of those looking back, and when you do the flashback, after you finish the flashback, you can jump back to the present and go, oh yeah, you were retroactively an asshole.
I like it when it's appropriate to what we're playing.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the scenario too. Because case in point, doing the flashback with Nim, because that was a big chunk of exposition that I had to go through, where you guys were thankfully sitting patiently for it. But yeah, it just depends on how it flows into the story narrative.
Yeah, I've only ever done it twice with a very thorough murder and then Eclipse Phase. And both times it worked really well, but I still think, like, intellectually I know how wrong it can go.
Yeah. That's my big thing.
And so, like, if you think it's a good spot for it and you know your players well, I say go for it, and it will do nothing but, like, add intrigue to the scenario. But,
Yeah.
man, at the same time,
It's
like, I'd never do something like that in a con game.
It's definitely
Yeah.
an advanced technique. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very in terms of story structuring. I mean, I'll be posting games out of order, especially with the Eclipse Phase Duality campaign. But that's
Because we don't know the order anymore.
yeah. No, I know. I wrote notes. All right, I have written notes. It's fine.
Let's see those notes.
No.
So
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Jeez.
yeah, it's I've experimented with it well, and it's just you have to be very careful about how you set it up, because otherwise because it's very easy to fall into a thing where players invalidate something you like, you go do the flashback or something like that, and it like creates a time paradox or whatever, and it's hard to do. So
Which
if you
is
can pull
gonna
it
be
off, though,
great to
it's
see
really
in
it's worth it.
Continuum.
Yeah. So yeah, Continuum. Jesus, that's nothing but that. And like, how the fuck can you?
Yeah. That question could become, or why Continuum would be cool if you could run it.
Yeah. That's. I mean, there are more like. There's a lot of more questions, but we're kind of running out of time. So
We can always do another episode of questions later.
we can always do that later. So it's been 100 episodes of the main podcast, and many, well, not countless, but many episodes of the AP plus county specials. Do you guys just want to give a final thoughts of the RPPR era?
Just easily for everybody who has been listening to us, who has thought that what we are doing is interesting enough to continue online and paying for the pleasure of to keep us around. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Thank you to all of the fans. Thank you for being fans. Thank you for liking us and
Thank you
listening.
for being
Commenting. And discussing with us and letting us know how you feel. Even the critiques, everything like that. I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, we talk about when you guys comment on the episodes. It's always a good topic of discussion. And this means you, Crowkill, and Ted, and all those other regulars.
Your regular-
Jern,
your regular-
OST13.
Your regular listening to us, it's what fuels me.
Yeah, no, it's.
I call
I
it
never.
juice.
When I started this, I never realized that there would be people who would be listening to it and getting them through losing weight at the gym or hiking or like getting them through boring jobs at being literal mall cops or guards in malls or auditing taxes
allow us to
or
kinda get
sailing
and
or
allowing
whatever.
us to kind of get like an inflated vision of ourselves, like we're doing a vital service.
Not really. Just maybe
No.
like,
Oh, it's just
hey,
me then.
yeah. Well,
Well, on the flip side of that, like, I don't think I could say that in regards to how it changed since RPPR started. My life hasn't exactly taken a meteoric rise. Since I've met you guys, but that's nothing to do with the podcast, and that's been a huge source of strength, both like getting to know you guys and playing.
We
the
give
games,
each other's
and all the fans online. Like that's a huge source of affirmation. In otherwise rough times.
Good.
So I'm very appreciative.
So it's a good jolt of endorphins.
Yeah. Very needed a jolt of endorphins.
It's I love the RPPR community. I'm always impressed by what you guys have to say to us, and we'll keep on keeping on as long as until the global zombie apocalypse, rapture,
heat death of the
asteroid
universe,
strike, climate change, plague wipes us out.
We'll probably keep on after that if Ross automates the backlog.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'll totally.
Well, after that,
when the meteors are like when the zombies are at the door, I'll be like, come on.
Please tell me there's a thermometer bar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
we'll just automate it. We'll automate it for Ross.
We got enough of a backlog. This could go for years before you guys even know I'm dead.
And then the last thing that's heard live from Ross is just him going all Captain Rhodes from the third movie, like choke on us.
Yes, RPPR, choke on it. All right. Thanks for listening to us for 100 episodes and perhaps 100 more. So we'll talk to you guys next time.
See ya.
Based on Japanese history. Being based on history, the stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan. So here's this giant enemy crab. What I'll do is use Benkei here to flip over this crab on its back. See if he shows up. And you attack its weak point for massive damage. Giant crab, enemy crab, giant crab, giant enemy crab, enemy crab, giant crab, based on Japanese history. Giant crab, enemy crab, giant crab, giant enemy crab, giant crab, enemy crab, actually took place in ancient Japan. Massive crab, massive damage, massive crab. Being based on history, massive crab, massive damage, massive crab, based on Japanese history. Attack its weak point for massive damage. Attack its weak point for massive damage. Flip over